Hey Keith, so was the gospel preached before Jesus Christ?
Absolutely. The plan of salvation was implemented at the time Adam and Eve were kicked out of the Garden of Eden. God made a promise to Adam, and he said, there's going to be someone who's going to come and pay the price for your sin, and it will allow you to come back into fellowship with God the Father. He didn't know when it was going to happen. He just knew there was a promise. So all the people who lived before Jesus died on the cross, they were living their life by faith, according to the Bible, in anticipation that God's promise was true and that he was going to send a Messiah or a Mashiach to die for their sins. So they obeyed in anticipation of what God said he would do. And that is the definition of living by faith. Faith in God's words. God says it's going to happen. They said, great, you're telling us it's going to happen, so I'm going to pack up my people and I'm going to move like Abraham, or I'm going to do whatever God asked me to do, like he told Moses. Go to Egypt and I'll show you and you can become a deliverer of my people. Whatever the request was, if they were willing to follow that request, it was because they were living by faith and trusting in God.
So give me some examples in the Old Testament of people that actually knew they were living the gospel without the gospel being preached.
Well, when you say gospel, the gospel message is God's going to send a Messiah to die for you so that you can go to heaven and be with the Father. That's the gospel message. It's not just the gospel books that we have in the New Testament. It's the whole plan of God's redemption, of bringing sinful man back to the Father, and the fact that we can go into his presence because Jesus died and paid the price for the sins that keep us out of God's presence. So people that died before Christ were looking forward to the Messiah. We're now 2,000 years after Jesus lived on the earth. We're looking back at what Jesus did, and we still have to put our faith and trust in the fact that he died on the cross for us. And so it's still living by faith. We're living by faith and trusting in what God's plan is and what he's doing. People during the 1,000-year millennial reign will still have to accept Jesus. They'll have the benefit of seeing people before Jesus. They'll be able to see 2,000 years of history, and they'll be able to see Jesus and what he does when he comes again, and they'll still have to accept the fact that there's a heaven in the future. The New Jerusalem is coming, and they'll still have to put their faith and trust and accept Jesus because they'll still die. There will be people during the millennial reign, they'll live their life, they'll have a chance to accept Jesus and the gospel message of the Messiah, and there will be people who reject it. People who do accept it, they'll be saved, just like they are saved today, but they will still die physically, and then they will be resurrected in the second resurrection at the end of the 1,000 years, and it's all part of this gospel message. So a lot of times people have a problem because they think the gospel message is just about Jesus on the day of Calvary, but it's about the whole plan. How does a sinful man get back to a position where he can go into the presence of a holy God? That is the gospel message, and it started all the way back with Cain and Abel, and it goes all the way through until we get to the end of the 1,000-year reign of Jesus. And at that point, everybody who is going to accept that salvation will do it. God will cleanse the earth. The new heavens and the new earth will come down, and heaven will start because everybody will be able to go into the New Jerusalem and be in the presence of the Father who will be living among us, tabernacling with people. So the gospel message is much more than just the 3 years of Jesus here on the earth. It is the plan from the beginning all the way till the completion at the end of the 7,000 years.